Good afternoon, good morning, and good kicking of the camera, Maya. I'm delighted to say that today we have someone with us who I've known for many years, and we've worked on various projects over the years. Very creative, also very community-minded. Excited that this person is now coming and doing live poetry in our S.H.O.P, the social hub of positivity here in Emerygate. As you know, this is the show, but this is the person. Sue Simmons, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's good to hear. So, come on then. Since we last did a project, what have you been up to? What have you been up to since lockdown?
Okay, well, the day before lockdown, I was really lucky and I rushed off to the shop glazed and took home loads of their unglazed pottery for me to paint at home. And unfortunately, I ran out of that because it was a longer lockdown than I was expecting. So then when I was getting stressed, I didn't have anything to write about, which I would normally do, which is my poetry, because I wasn't out and about and I wasn't getting any mental stimulus for that.
Yeah.
So then I started painting glassware instead.
We've got a whole selection of that now on sale for you good people. Check it out if you're in Chippenham. Obviously, I know the podcast goes a bit wider than Chippenham, but just another example of some of the positive outcomes of a very negative scenario. And I'm not talking about Boris Johnson's prime ministership, if you could laughingly call it that. If it is a ship of anything, it's a sinking one. Bless him. Bless him and all those children abandoned to public school, boarding school, social care for the rich. Sue, you have been a prolific poet. We have done a beautiful bit of community-minded, community-directed films. We did the one with Green Square, wasn't it? The Housing Association. Can you tell people a bit about that?
That was based on disability. And disabled people get so overlooked, or they get put into this one bracket of being disabled.
Yeah.
And it's like they don't have a voice anymore.
Yeah.
So Green Square, at that time, it was Green Square.
Yes.
And they gave us a voice of our own, which was wonderful.
Yeah. So we collaborated on a seen you in a big man. So we developed a film with you guys, which is part documentary and part because of your good self, actually, being a creative person, we were able to mix up the message between the actual practical, what it looks like to observe, like stair lifts, if you remember.
Yes.
But you're totally right. In doing that project, not only were myself and Jack, a colleague from Can-Do, able to work with equally creative people, because actually there was no shortage of creativity in that group.
No.
Even though some people had restricted movement, they didn't have restricted brains, they didn't have restricted ideas. It was absolute pure joy doing that project. And you're right, I mean, Green Square back in the day, we're really forward thinking. We did a lot of NEAT, not in employment, education and training programs, which we got awards with them for in the area. Did really sort of forward thinking community engagement in lots of the different estates. I think lots of that's changed now, unfortunately, and that will probably be driven, or not driven as it were, driven over the edge by people's priority of finances. However, you've definitely made the most of it. You've done a variety of poems over the years, and I have seen you in a variety of situations where you have been performing. You have something exciting that I want you to hold up to the camera. What is that?
This is my poetry book.
Well done. That is amazing. After all, is that the first one after all these years?
It is, yes.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. Again, this is on sale in the S.H.O.P, Social Hub of Positivity in Emerygate, Chippenham. If not, have you got a website?
I haven't, no. I keep being told that I must have one, but I'm a little bit scared of the internet.
Yeah.
Likewise, I was a little bit scared to do the book and to let my stuff go.
Yes.
In printed form as well as just spoken word.
Yeah.
So I am behind on that, but can assure people I will have one soon.
Yeah, well, whether that you can assure them or not. Fact is, the beautiful thing about your book is it's a really well made, great content. So, how much is it? £6.
£6.
£6. So come into the shop and look, have a look, peruse. But not just that. All your wonderful. Now I never knew this. Hello. Excuse me. It'll be breakfast. Anyway, we often stop and have a chat about various things, and it was only quite recently, because again, as you say, because of lockdown, that you've done all this glorious glasswork. Now, as you can imagine, just like anything else, just because someone says they've done something, it doesn't mean, you know, it can be. In here, I'm not the quality control or the police in that sense of going, that's not good enough to come in here. What this shop, and it's not a shop, it's a social hub of positivity, is about is sharing and inspiring people. Sharing ideas, sharing art, sharing music, sharing conversation. It's probably more conversation that goes on here than anything with people that haven't been able to converse with anyone. So, and we have a variety of performances shared.
Well, what some people forget is that everyone is equal in their own way.
Yeah.
Everyone is a person, therefore everyone is equal.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that only spreads as far as the end of the sentence, because when you actually drill down on that, we realise that even though we would like to imagine that everyone had the same idea, not even the people we laughingly call the government have an idea of what is equal. They could not have any other conclusion in their heads than that somehow, by birthright, which when you look at Boris Johnson, you think, well, I don't know what you're boasting about, son. Bless you, but that you are somehow superior. So I actually think I agree with you 100%, and of course I would love there both to be democracy in the world, let alone in England. It's a really good idea. It's never been put to full practice.
Maybe I should have a word with Boris Johnson.
I would love you to, but unfortunately, because of the nature of his upbringing, I believe that he has developed a sort of social. Well, what do they call it?
Eliteness.
Well, yeah, but it's a kind of like it's a sociopath. In my opinion, I'm not a doctor, and neither would you want me to be. But, so going back to your idea about people equal, in this social experiment, which we have been afforded by the good people at Emery Gate and Eagle One, I want to thank them for that, because they really get it. We work hand in hand with them. In fact, we're going to hopefully open another little distribution or place that people can actually interact.
Wow.
Yeah, in the same shopping centre. You don't have to travel very far. However, without people like yourself filling with good stuff, my overriding point, by the way, was that now that I've seen the glasswork, I'm really impressed. Personally, it's not everyone's taste, I'm sure, but none of the stuff in this place will be everyone's taste. That's the beauty of it. There's books that people have written. We promoted Gordon Trafford's, I don't know if you remember Gordon, he used to be the, very prized head teacher at John Bentley School.
Oh yes.
So we produced his book of poetry because he'd been sending them into our open mic, which, I don't know when this one's going out, but last night was Wednesday, and that was show number 90. The first one we did was on the Wednesday following the announcement on the first Tuesday of the lockdown, the first ever lockdown. So we responded straight away because, again, as a community organisation, we've done it now, too late. We are a conduit for people to share ideas, thoughts, and support each other. And lots of people have told us that when they couldn't come out and they could just do the digital online open mic on Wednesday nights, that can do the open mic for open minds as well. It's called that because we want people to have open minds when they join it and watch it and what have you, and support it and contribute. And they contribute in lots of ways: paintings, photographs, songs, poems, which is why I want you to get on it. So we're going to film some of yours. Well, we're going to make sure, because we're going to film you sharing them in it, and then each week we're going to put a different poem.
Wonderful.
Yeah?
Yes. More alive. You threw me away like the rubbish. Hated the sight and sound of me But I am a person with feelings. You look away, can't see. Yes, I take drugs, makes life bearable to me. Yes, I need help, need unscrambling, tired living your way. Now, I'm free. Instead of flying, I'm falling. I haven't worked out the key, don't know how to cope. Now I'm losing hope. But I've got a few personal memories. They're floating away just like smoke. Dirty, begging for money, cold and wet on the street. I'm so hungry that it's past painful. So lonely, mistrustful. Must eat. I see people passing with their kids. They think they're brassic, that they're on the skids. But I know what being poor is. So I sit here, begging for money, for food, or to score. Hungry and homeless, don't cover it. All of my thoughts are so bleak and so dark. I wonder if someone will speak. Is it all worth it? There's no going back. I know that I am useless. Been told that all my life. I know I'm a screw-up, won't have a family, kids, a wife. You told me and told me at the top of your lungs, evil and poison from your bitter tongue. So here I sit, day after day, still filled with hope and a bit more alive since you threw me away.
But I'm amazed that you have been able to be hyper productive. Do you think that's because you couldn't go out and about? In a way, you couldn't go out, but most people couldn't go out and about. So you, instead of, going introvert with your brain, you started being really productive with the class and the artwork.
Well, I think for some strange reason I've always had this inner drive.
Yeah.
I've always been maybe a little bit hyperactive.
Yeah.
Which is quite difficult when you become disabled.
Yeah.
and you're hyperactive.
Yeah, bless you, that must be.
Well, I had two choices. I either became the clown,
Yeah.
or I became the miserable person that no one wanted to know.
Yeah.
And I prefer the clown.
Yeah.
It's much more fun.
Yeah.
So I did more writing. I performed where I could. I started on this glass work. It's something. It's always got to be something. Driving on.
Yeah.
I have this drive.
Yeah. Can you remember we had a chat once and I said to you I want you to come and perform at the Unlock Reset Festival, which we're going to do in John Coles Park.
Yes.
Right. Now, here's the interesting thing about that. So, essentially, what we want to do is use the bandstand in the park, as you probably know, it actually belongs to the people of Chippenham, which might be news to some people that work at the council because they think the council own it. Some that doesn't come from Chippenham said that, which is unfortunate. So we couldn't progress with that because the guy at the council, this geezer at the council, wouldn't play ball, even though he's new to the job. Now, I think it's bizarre. What we wanted to do was have a ceremony, because at the time Boris had said we could all unlock on the 21st, if you remember.
Yes.
Well, it was a solstice, so we were going to do stuff anyway, so it didn't make much difference. But we were going to do, in the park, get everyone to nominate people or organisations, don't care who it was, that had got them through the pandemic. Now, we are key workers, we worked all the way through the pandemic. I was going to nominate two of my colleagues, Andy Byrne and Mel Thomas, Melanie Townsend, as a lot of people would know her, because they did most of the face-to-face work with teenagers who needed the face-to-face interaction it can do, who probably weren't locked down and were socialising, and at the time no one really knew the full extent of how dangerous that was. So our nominations from our own organisation were two other people, in case people thought that I was somehow trying to self-promote. I don't need to. Thank you for that. But basically, we wanted to have a situation where the community could nominate people and thank them. And we got turned down.
Wow.
The council didn't want to play. And according to, I remember Ross Henning phoning me up and saying, you're putting people's backs up about doing this festival isn't it crazy?
absolutely mad.
Isn't it? We'll talk about that anyway, because I know that there's a whole load of issues that I want to discuss with you off camera.
Well, my husband's actually one of the park keepers
Don't
at
mention
Docklands
that.
Park.
Right.
And he worked all the way through.
Yes, I remember.
He did catch COVID.
Yeah.
And was quite ill with it.
Yeah.
But he kept that park going, and he's kept it beautiful.
Isn't he?
And,
Beautiful, yeah.
I know how many people use that park.
Yeah. Yeah, so having a facility like that and having an ability to bring people together and thank them, and this is what art does, isn't it? This is like, well, we've got you performing today, there's people turning up now to see you perform. You're sharing your ideas and your thoughts, and that's really important in the community. What other stuff? So that book, when did that book came out?
This book's been out for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like it, because a lot of the time we've been in lockdown.
Totally, of course. Right, well, it's on sale here. The glass work, it's amazing. We're gonna film some of that now in a minute, so people can get an idea on this podcast what it is. Anything else that you've got coming up?
Not at the moment, actually.
Yeah.
Because I've been out of it quite a lot.
Yeah.
And I haven't really properly emerged since lockdown.
Yeah.
I have been asked to work with the homeless again.
Fantastic.
Which I will be doing as soon as we know what's what, really.
Yeah.
I have almost stopped working with the S.H.O.P Association again, because most of the people who I was working with have been in complete lockdown.
Wow. Yeah.
So I'm only just starting to emerge. In fact, this is my first performance in a couple of years now.
Wow, is it really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm really proud to be part of that then. This is what this place is about, by the way. Not that we expect everyone to come in here and perform, but people, since we've had this open, there goes my glasses, but let's face it, they're very cheap. Since we've had it open, we have had people coming out for their first time, talking to people for the first time, and a whole tsunami, I keep saying it, of mental health issues with people. So it's been quite an enlightening and eye-opening. This is again going back to why it would be really good if people in councils who essentially were shielding, hiding throughout the pandemic, would allow the people who are actually really doing the work in the community and give them support. Anyway, we will do our best. Maybe in the new year we'll change a lot of that, so that the right people are in the right jobs at the right time. Am I right, people? Right, we're going to go and film your wonderful poetry now and some of your glass work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Obviously, we're doing this interview now pre-Christmas. It will come out after Christmas. So I'm going to say to you now, I hope you have a lovely festive season. What is the 21st? It's the solstice, which is what's really being celebrated.
Well, if enough people like it, then I'm happy to come on a fairly regular basis and perform here for you.
Yeah, cool. Well, we've got the On Not Reset Festival in August. In fact, we had a meeting with Charlie Tedster. I don't know if you know Charlie from Cobuy. He was one of our sponsors for last year's.
Right.
And we had a meeting because Revo last night, they were doing a fundraiser for Can Do, and he came to a meeting with us and put up the budget considerably so that we can get more and pay the acts. We don't need to look up beyond Chippenham for talent. It's such a talented area, in the surrounding villages as well. So we're looking forward to that and the film festival in June. But we will definitely take you up on the idea of doing workshops. This is going to be the new year, so I'm hoping that when we watch this, that the whole of the Christmas or whatever that period, the solstice period, the midwinter period, has been fruitful and lovely for you and your good husband. Happy New Year.
And to you and to all your listeners.
Thank you. Take it easy. Sue Simmons, everyone. Thank you very much.
Was held within the